The town of Blackwood had always been a place of eerie tranquility, but it held a secret, a graveyard forgotten by time, nestled at the outskirts of the town. It was a place of legends, where the graves bore the names of generations long past, and the whispers of the departed seemed to seep through the soil, reaching out to those who dared to approach. One fateful evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the land, a group of friends, Alex, Sarah, Mark, and Emily, gathered around a campfire, sharing tales of the supernatural. Their laughter filled the air, but an air of unease hung over them as they talked about the forgotten graveyard, a place that held an irresistible allure, like a moth drawn to a flame. Curiosity soon got the better of them, and they made a pact to venture into the graveyard, armed with only flashlights, to see what lay beyond the veil of the mundane. Their hearts raced with a mixture of excitement and trepidation as they set out under the moonlit sky. The graveyard loomed before them, its weathered gravestones standing like sentinels, shrouded in an eerie mist. Each step felt like a passage through time, as if they were treading on the memories of those who had once inhabited the town. The wind carried with it whispers of the past, chilling whispers that seemed to beckon them deeper into the graveyard. Emily shivered, the cold tendrils of fear gripping her heart. "Guys, are we sure about this?" Sarah squeezed her hand reassuringly. "We're in this together, Em. Besides, it's just a graveyard, right?" But as they ventured further, they realized this graveyard was unlike any other. The gravestones seemed to shift, their inscriptions changing, and the air grew thicker, as if they were walking through a dream. Mark's flashlight flickered, casting eerie shadows on the ground. "This place gives me the creeps." As they explored, Emily stumbled upon an old tombstone that seemed to stand out from the rest. The inscription was barely readable, but the name etched onto the stone sent shivers down her spine. Eleanor Montague, a name that seemed familiar yet distant, like a ghost of a memory. Sarah gasped. "Isn't that the name from the old legends? The one they said was cursed?" Alex scoffed, trying to mask his unease. "Curses are just stories, guys. Let's not get carried away." But as they continued, they realized that something was amiss. The graveyard seemed to stretch endlessly, as if the very boundaries of reality were warping around them. They glanced at their watches, only to find that time had lost its meaning. Minutes felt like hours, and hours felt like eternities. A dense fog rolled in, obscuring their vision, and the air grew colder, numbing their senses. Emily felt a sudden dread, as if the graveyard itself were alive, a malevolent entity that had ensnared them in its clutches. "We need to get out of here," Mark said, his voice quivering. But as they turned to leave, they found themselves trapped. The entrance to the graveyard had vanished, and the fog seemed impenetrable, as if they were trapped in a nightmarish maze. Sarah's flashlight flickered, and she let out a scream as a ghostly figure appeared before them, a figure in tattered, ancient clothing, its eyes hollow and filled with an unbearable sadness. It reached out, its spectral fingers grazing Sarah's arm, and she felt a surge of bone-chilling coldness that seemed to pierce her very soul. "Run!" Alex yelled, his voice laden with terror. They sprinted through the fog, stumbling over uneven ground, their hearts pounding like drums. The ghostly figure pursued them, its presence growing ever closer, as if the graveyard itself were alive and seeking to claim their souls. But just as they felt the grip of despair tightening, a voice pierced the darkness, an old, melodic voice, filled with both sorrow and determination. It echoed through the fog, cutting through the despair like a beacon of hope. Emily recognized the voice, the name Eleanor Montague resonated in her mind. She turned toward the tombstone, and there, standing beside it, was a radiant figure, dressed in an attire of another era. Eleanor's eyes held a quiet strength, a resolve to protect the friends from the horrors that sought to consume them. With a gesture, Eleanor beckoned them, and they ran toward her, the fog dissipating like a mirage. As they reached her, they felt a sense of peace, as if the very presence of Eleanor shielded them from the malevolent forces that had plagued the graveyard. "Thank you," Emily whispered, tears in her eyes. Eleanor smiled gently. "This place is a prison for lost souls, a realm where time has no meaning. But you've reminded me of the living, the ones who remember our stories, our names. You've given me a chance to protect you from the curse that lingers here." With Eleanor's guidance, they navigated through the fog, retracing their steps until the entrance to the graveyard materialized before them. As they stepped out, the fog dissipated, and the world around them regained its familiar shape. The graveyard was silent, as if it had returned to its dormant state, and the friends knew that they had faced something beyond comprehension, a place where the past and present intertwined, a place where the memories of the departed had whispered to them. They made their way back to the campfire, the night forever etched in their memories. The legends of the cursed graveyard had proven true, but they had also found a protector in the form of Eleanor, a guardian of forgotten souls. As they shared their harrowing tale, they realized that the past could never truly be forgotten, that the memories of those who had come before would always live on, waiting to be heard by those who dared to listen. And so, the town of Blackwood continued its existence, with its forgotten graveyard serving as a reminder that the past held secrets, that the echoes of those who had once walked the earth lingered on, and that, in the shadows, there were whispers waiting to be heard by those who dared to listen. In the town of Ravensfield, nestled beneath a veil of ancient oaks, the graveyard known as Midnight Grove rested in eternal silence. It was a place of beauty and melancholy, where the moon's soft glow painted shadows on gravestones, and the breeze whispered through the leaves with a mournful tone. Local legends spoke of a hidden melody that played at the stroke of midnight, a haunting tune that had lured curious souls into the depths of the graveyard, never to be seen again. Amelia, a young woman with a fascination for the macabre, had always been drawn to the eerie allure of Midnight Grove. She had heard the whispers, the stories of the haunting melodies that beckoned under the cover of night. Her curiosity had grown into an obsession, and she decided to investigate the legends for herself, armed with only a lantern and a heart full of both trepidation and excitement. As the clock struck midnight, Amelia stood at the entrance of the graveyard, the air heavy with anticipation. The moon bathed the gravestones in silver light, casting long, spectral shadows that seemed to dance in time with the whispers of the wind. With each step, Amelia felt the weight of the graveyard's history, the lives that had been lived, the tales that had been forgotten. Her lantern cast a feeble glow, illuminating the gravestones as she ventured further into the grove. The atmosphere grew colder, and she could feel the eerie presence of the legends pressing down upon her. A hush seemed to envelop Midnight Grove, as if the very land was holding its breath, waiting for the fateful moment when the melody would begin. And then, it started, an ethereal tune that seemed to emanate from the very ground beneath her. It was haunting, a melancholic melody that tugged at the strings of her heart, a sound that spoke of long-lost loves and forgotten dreams. As Amelia followed the melody, she felt a presence beside her, a figure that seemed to materialize from the shadows, a spectral woman with eyes that held a mournful gaze. The woman reached out, her hand icy to the touch, as if she were a part of the very melody itself. "Who are you?" Amelia whispered, her voice trembling. The woman's eyes seemed to speak of a timeless sorrow, a story that had been left untold. She beckoned Amelia to follow, leading her through the gravestones, each step resonating with the echoes of the past. As they reached a particularly weathered gravestone, the woman pointed, her voice carried by the wind. "This is where I rest, Eleanor, a pianist whose music once enchanted the world." Amelia glanced at the name on the gravestone, her heart pounding. "Eleanor, the legend, it's about you?" Eleanor's form seemed to shimmer, as if the melody itself infused her being. "I was a musician in life, my soul forever bound to this place by the haunting melodies that I composed. But it is not only my story that remains, for every grave here holds a tale, every stone remembers. With Eleanor's guidance, Amelia walked among the graves, each one telling a story of love, loss, and the eternal search for peace. She felt as though she was walking through a symphony of the departed, a chorus of souls who yearned to share their stories with the living. As dawn approached, Amelia realized that the mysteries of Midnight Grove went far beyond the haunting melodies. It was a place where the boundaries between the living and the dead blurred, a place where the memories of those who had passed lingered on, waiting to be heard. Eleanor's gaze held a wistful longing. "You've heard our melodies, Amelia. You've carried our stories. Now, share them with the world, so that we may find the solace we seek." Amelia nodded, her heart heavy with the weight of the stories she had encountered. She returned to Ravensfield, carrying with her the tales of Midnight Grove, stories that would forever echo in her mind. Through her writing and art, Amelia shared the haunting melodies and the stories of the graveyard, giving a voice to the forgotten souls who resided there. The town of Ravensfield began to recognize the importance of remembering, of listening to the tales that had been left behind. Midnight Grove, once shrouded in mystery, became a place of remembrance, a sanctuary where the melodies of the past were celebrated, where the whispers of the forgotten were cherished. As the years passed, the legends of Midnight Grove became more than just tales of the supernatural. They became a reminder of the human connection, of the importance of sharing the stories that make us who we are, and of the melodies that bridge the gap between the living and the dead. And so, the haunting melodies of Midnight Grove continued to echo through the ages, a testament to the power of remembrance and the eternal bond that links the past with the present. In the idyllic town of Fairwood, where time seemed to stand still, there existed a graveyard known as Whispering Glen. It was a place of tranquil beauty by day, with its rolling hills and ancient trees, but as the sun dipped below the horizon, the atmosphere changed. The graveyard whispered secrets, and the moon cast long, mysterious shadows that seemed to come alive with unseen entities. Lucas, a determined journalist with a penchant for uncovering the unexplainable, had arrived in Fairwood to investigate the chilling rumors surrounding Whispering Glen. The locals spoke in hushed tones, recounting tales of a forgotten tomb hidden within the depths of the graveyard, a tomb that was said to hold an ancient curse, a darkness that had plagued the town for generations. Undeterred by the eerie tales, Lucas ventured into the graveyard, his camera and notebook in hand, determined to document the truth. The moon hung low in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the gravestones. As he made his way through the uneven paths, his footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. As Lucas neared the rumored tomb, he felt a sudden chill in the air, as if the very atmosphere held its breath. The tomb stood before him, a stone monolith, its entrance overgrown with vines, its inscriptions worn with age. It was a place forgotten by time, a relic of a past that had been buried along with its secrets. Lucas's flashlight revealed a cryptic inscription on the tomb's entrance, a language long forgotten by the world. He couldn't make sense of the words, but he could sense the weight of ancient power, a force that seemed to resonate with the very core of his being. As he stepped into the tomb, his footsteps echoed eerily through the stone chamber. The air was heavy, thick with an unsettling presence. His flashlight revealed a series of smaller rooms branching off from the main chamber, a labyrinth of crypts, each holding the remains of the town's long-departed residents. Lucas's heart raced as he explored, his mind consumed by both dread and fascination. He entered a chamber where an ancient sarcophagus lay, its lid slightly ajar. His instincts told him to turn back, to leave the tomb and its secrets undisturbed, but his journalistic curiosity compelled him forward. As he approached the sarcophagus, a sudden gust of wind extinguished his flashlight, plunging the chamber into darkness. Panic seized him, and he fumbled for his backup light, but as its beam pierced the darkness, he found himself face to face with a spectral figure, an apparition that seemed to materialize from the shadows themselves. It was a woman, her eyes hollow, her form draped in the garments of another era. She extended her hand, her touch cold as death, and a voice echoed in Lucas's mind, a voice filled with sorrow and longing. "You should not have come," the ghostly figure whispered, her words tinged with a sadness that seemed to permeate the very air. Lucas's voice quivered as he spoke. "Who are you? What is the secret of this tomb?" The woman's gaze seemed to pierce through Lucas's very soul. "I am Isabella, a guardian of the cursed tomb. A darkness dwells within, a darkness that must remain undisturbed." Isabella's tale unfolded, a tale of an ancient curse, a curse that had been sealed within the tomb to protect the town from its malevolent influence. But over the years, whispers of the curse had faded, and the tomb had fallen into obscurity, its purpose forgotten. Lucas realized that he had stumbled upon a power he could not comprehend, a force that could have dire consequences for Fairwood and its inhabitants. He knew he had to act, to ensure that the darkness within the tomb remained contained. With Isabella's guidance, Lucas worked to restore the tomb's seal, to once again lock away the curse and protect the town from the relentless darkness that sought to escape. The process was fraught with danger, as the very tomb seemed to resist, as if the curse itself fought to break free. As dawn broke, a sense of relief washed over Lucas. The tomb was once again sealed, its secrets hidden, and the darkness confined. He knew that the town of Fairwood would remain safe, for now. Lucas returned to the town, his heart heavy with the weight of the tomb's secrets. Through his writing, he shared the tale of the forgotten tomb, the curse that had threatened to consume the town, and the guardian spirit, Isabella, who had protected the world from the darkness within. The people of Fairwood learned a valuable lesson, a lesson of remembrance, a lesson that the past held secrets that should never be forgotten. Whispering Glen, once a place of eerie beauty, became a place of reverence, a place where the town's history was preserved and the echoes of the forgotten were cherished. As the years passed, the town thrived, but the memory of the cursed tomb lived on, a haunting reminder that some secrets are best left undisturbed, and that even in the quietest places, there are echoes of darkness waiting to be heard by those who dare to listen.